Good evening and welcome to NESS Super's annual members meeting for 2021. I'm Paul Cahill, the CEO of NESS Super. I'll be your MC for tonight's meeting. Thank you for joining us in this virtual environment, which I'm sure a lot of people have become used to over the past year or so. Tonight, you'll hear from Paul Laeth, the Chairman of our Board of Directors, Chris Madsen, the Chair of our Investment Committee. I'll also give you an update on the past year. You'll also hear from some of our members who will speak about their own experiences with NESS Super. Also in attendance tonight, we have our board members and responsible persons. During the meeting, we'll provide an update on the Super Fund, investment outcomes for the year ended 30th of June 2021, what lies ahead 2022, and we'll have a question and answer session at the end of the meeting. It's my pleasure to introduce Paul Laeth, Chair of the Board. Paul Laeth has been with NESS Super since 2019 and was appointed Chair in May 2021. With over 40 years' experience in the banking and finance industry and having held a range of board positions, Paul is well placed to lead the directors of NESS Super in the ever-changing times we currently live in.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us in this, our second annual members meeting. The annual members meeting is very important for us as it gives us the opportunity to communicate directly with you and share with you how the fund is progressing and the actions we're taking to promote your financial interests. There have been several major milestones in the 2021 financial year, which we'd like to acknowledge. Firstly, we grew our funds under management to just under $1 billion, some 20% growth to $974 million. Secondly, we achieved above average returns in both the MySuper and the MyPension Balance options. Thirdly, NESS Super passed the inaugural APRA performance test. And fourthly, significant organisational changes have been deployed in our investment structure. I'll leave it to Chris Madsen, the Chair of our Investment Committee, to work through the details of the investment returns and changes a little later. But first, let's hear from our members.
I had to change my current super fund. I spoke to a mate and he advised me to get into a industry-based super fund. And I spoke to Simon, and when I told him my situation and what I wanted to bring across, he, apart from being a nice guy, he was more than helpful in many, many ways. We were able to go down to Burwood when they were at Burwood and have a chat. Gave me all the answers I needed. I was very, very satisfied. Then, before I did the transition to retirement pension, I had a quick word with Simon and he said, "Oh, Wayne, you don't have to take money out of your super. You've got the insurance. It'll cover you for that. And the other insurances are great. So you feel relaxed. You're not on edge, knowing that one, your money's in the right spot, but two, they're actually looking after you. And the thing I like about NESS, it is NESS, but I think they've picked a really good guy with Simon, is you ring him up, and okay, I know he's a busy man, but he gets back to you within the day. So I have nothing but glowing reports for NESS Super. So yeah, that's why I say I couldn't ask for a better super fund. Every time I ring Simon, he's got the answers for me. So apart from NESS being, I think they're within the top 10 super funds, to me, mate, they're number one.
NESS Super is dedicated to supporting our members in any way possible. So reviews like this mean a lot. I would now like to provide a snapshot of the fund's activities and other achievements over the past year. The fund has had a very positive year in respect to financial growth and managed through what is an ever-changing environment, both internally and externally. One major change introduced this year is the Your Future, Your Super performance test conducted by APRA on all MySuper products. I'm very pleased to say that the NESS MySuper product has passed the performance test for the year ended 30 June 2021. This is a good result for our members. We have continued to grow and evolve, as can be seen from the fund's snapshot. A great investment return of 19.65 for our My Super members. We've also seen the fund grow by over 20%. Membership numbers remain steady through a difficult time, but the number of contributing employers has increased by over 9.5%. The rollovers received into the fund were less, but benefit payments from the fund were also less. The fund is in a net free cash flow position. We've paid over $13 million in early release COVID payments to support members during this period and time of need. Over 93% of membership have some form of insurance cover within the fund. We've maintained the insurance premiums at a rate that keeps it affordable. Over $3 million has been paid in insurance claims during the past year to members and, more importantly, their beneficiaries. We manage our call centre internally with a small dedicated team of customer service specialists with over 19,000 interactions with members and employers during the last year. We've added a live chat function to give members another option to communicate with us. We now have a translation service available via TIS National and partnered with the National Relay Service to support any member with hearing or speech difficulties. Other changes that have occurred in the super environment from 1 July 2021 include the increase of SG contributions from 9.5% to 10%, so we can expect an increase of contributions to the fund, and the increase of the contribution cap from 25,000 to 27,500, which will allow members to increase their pre-tax contributions. We're continually looking to how we can improve the benefits and service to members and employers and keep fees low to best support our members' outcomes. I'll now hand over to Chris Madsen to talk in more detail about our investment changes and returns over the past year.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Madsen. I'm the Chair of the Investment Committee. Tonight, I'll update you on the changes of the investment structure and our investment returns for the year ended 30 June 2021. It's been a challenging year in many respects. We have managed through significant changes in the investment structure of the fund and delivered above average returns to our My Super members. First, to the changes of the investment structure from 1st of February 2021. We've aligned our investment options across the accumulation and pension products. As part of the regular review of our product offering, we identified the need to align our accumulation and pension investment options available to members. Our aim was to simplify our pre-retirement and post-retirement investment strategies and make the transition from your working phase to retirement phase more transparent and easier to understand. As a direct result, we have created 3 new investment options. We have renamed 3 options, closed 2 pension options, and left 1 investment option unchanged. We now have 7 identical investment options available across both the accumulation and pension products, aligned from both a risk and return profile. We have moved to daily unit pricing from February 2021 to provide more up-to-date and accurate valuations on our investments. This provides greater detail to members when transacting with the fund and considering their options. We appointed State Street as our custodian to better manage and provide greater visibility on our underlying assets. They are also integral in providing reporting on the newly aligned investment options and daily unit pricing. This new custodial arrangement also supports a wider range of investment options for the board. As we continue to embed changes, we'll be moving away from the pooled investment vehicle we have had with Russell Investments to a more traditional investment consulting model. We believe this will provide more granular management of your investments by the board, along with an expectation of cost reductions, which can be passed on to members. With the changes we have put in place and planned for the future, our primary objective is to achieve strong investment returns whilst balancing risk and reward and controlling fees to best promote members' financial interests. Now to the investment returns for the past year. The good news is that the default NESS Super product has declared a return of 19.65% for the year ended 30th of June 2021. Over 80% of our members are invested in this option. This is the highest return for the fund in over 30 years. It is well above the investment objective and benchmark and above the median super ratings return for other super funds. Returns for the 6 choice investment options also performed extremely well over the period, as could be seen on the table. Similarly, with the pension product, we had great returns for the year. For those new pension investment options introduced from 1st of February 2021, the table on your screen only shows their returns for the period from 1st of February through to 30th of June 2021. The My Pension, High Growth and Stable pension options were all in the top quartile of all super pensions returns for the period. The high allocation of equities, both Australian and overseas, within the High Growth and My Super options were the main drivers of the outperformance. The low interest rate environment continued, which tempered the returns in the stable and cash options. Whilst the returns for the past year have been excellent, we are always mindful that superannuation is a long-term investment. The 2021 returns should not be expected on a regular basis. The board remains focused on delivering long-term investment returns whilst balancing the risks and rewards and managing fees.
Thanks, Chris. We now have one of our members sharing their experience with NESS Super.
When I moved to my current job, my employer said that they were having trouble paying into the NESS fund. I didn't just want to be in another institutional fund, and so I contacted NESS and I asked them if they could help. Not only did they help, they took charge of the whole process. They contacted my employer for me, ran them through the situation and what needed to be done, and within a couple of days they had the whole issue sorted. Then they contacted my employer's institutional fund, transferred the money to NESS, and now everything's great. My employer's contributions are going into my NESS fund, and through the whole process I didn't have to fill in a single form or make multiple phone calls. One phone call was all it took. Simon, Calvin and the team took care of everything from there for me, kept me informed along the way, and here we are. It's sensational. NESS have been great.
So, what's ahead? Whilst it's been a very positive year, we continue to strive to achieve the best results possible for you, our members, and balance all of the factors which affect the fund in managing the day-to-day activities to meet our goals and meet your expectations. To ensure our continued growth and development, the board has a 3-year rolling strategic plan and regularly and actively reviews it. We also have quarterly assessments in place to ensure we remain on track. This ensures we're always looking to the future and managing the longer-term risks of the fund. As we look ahead to the next 12 months, the fund continues to evolve with several major advances. Firstly, the continued development of our investment model with a focus on returns to members and managing fees and risks. Secondly, we now have a financial planner on staff, Hernan Reyes, to help and support members with advice on their NESS Super products, both in working and retirement. If you have need advice, don't feel very free to contact Hernan. You'll find him really helpful. Thirdly, we're looking to insource additional services, such as insurance claims, to enable the best possible support for members in a situation where they need to make a claim. And finally, a return to workplace education to support our employers with lockdown restrictions now easing. Before I finish, I'd like to acknowledge our recently retired chair, Reg Young. Reg served on the board for over 15 years, and I'd like to recognise his commitment to NESS Super and the outstanding leadership he provided as board chair. Finally, thank you to Paul and Chris for taking us through the fund's achievement over the past year, and to you, especially for attending. The board and team at NESS Super are very proud of the results we've delivered to you, our members, over the last financial year, and we will continue our drive and focus on delivering outcomes so that you can enjoy the retirement you so richly deserve. I'll now hand back over to Paul to commence the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Tonight on the panel, we have Paul Lave, the chair, Chris Madsen, Chair of the Investment Committee, and myself as the CEO of the fund. And we'll go through the question and answer session with those on the call now. Also in attendance tonight, I'd like to draw your attention to the fact our board is in attendance, our senior management, and our auditor, Mr. David Jewell from Ernst & Young. So perhaps we could now turn to the question and answer session of this meeting. And the first question we have from a member is a very obvious one. What were the reasons for our good investment returns last year? And perhaps I'll turn that over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Paul. Look, I think it's important when looking at the investment performance for 2021 to put it in the context of 2020. We had the COVID outbreak. Market sold off significantly, and whilst there was a degree of recovery from that in the 2020 year, much of the recovery did continue through 2021. We also saw unprecedented amounts of government stimulus, and that also supported markets throughout the 2021 year. We saw listed markets, equities in particular, rising significantly, and we also saw very strong returns in property. If I was to look at the NESS Super option, and 80% of our members were invested in the NESS Super option, it's got about 30% exposure to Australian equities, 30% to overseas equities, and 15% to property. So it was heavily exposed to those very strongly performing sectors, and that led to our overall return of 19.65%, which is net of fees and taxes for the NESS Super option. Looking maybe relative to some of our competitor funds, we generally have had a higher level of listed exposure to some of them. Listed markets have performed very strongly, and that meant that compared to some of our competitor funds, we generally outperform them as well. Obviously, interest rates remain low and have done for some time. That meant some of the more conservative options didn't perform quite as strongly. That's most noticeable, obviously, in the cash option, which whilst it performed well versus its benchmarks, it was obviously quite a nominal return for the year.
Thanks, Chris. And probably a follow-up question. Can we expect similar results going forward?
I think it's always said that past returns aren't an indicator of future performance. And it's certainly true in this case. If we look at the returns of 2021, they were the highest returns the fund has had in its 30-plus year history. So not something we expect to see too frequently, and I wouldn't be counting on that level of return for 2022. It's maybe worth touching on how we structure the investments when we put it together. We don't try to buy at the bottom and sell at the top on a regular basis. Rather, what we do is we look at a medium to long-term lens, and we look at a model which we believe will get a solid level of desired return at a level of risk that we're comfortable with, so that the medium to long-term returns and risk are where we want them to be, rather than trying to shoot the lights out on a year-to-year basis. It's maybe worth touching upon the investment project that we're in the final throes of finalising the rollout at the moment. As mentioned earlier, we have brought a new investment consultant on board. They're in the process of working with us to review all of our investments at the moment, looking at are they the investments we want to hold for the medium to long term, but also looking at the fee structures of those investments as well. And probably one of the positive things to come out of that is we believe we're going to be able to achieve fairly significant fee savings, which we hope to be passing on to members in the near future.
And probably the last bit to it, Chris, how are we going for the current financial year?
Everyone wants to know. Look, I describe this year's return so far as moderately positive. Having a look this morning, the NESS Super returns up a bit over 3.5%. Some of the higher growth options are doing a fair bit better. The property is the best, it's over 10% at the moment. So, compared to 2021, there's certainly subdued returns, but that's in line with the entire industry, and we see that across our competitor funds as well. I'd probably describe ourselves as feeling cautious about the future. We're seeing quite a lot of volatility in markets at the moment. It feels as though we sort of take 2 steps forward, and then there's some negative news and we take a step backwards. And after another couple of weeks, we might take another 2 steps forward. I'd say that after a recovery from the COVID sell-off and the benefit of a lot of government stimulus, the markets are looking for what's going to be the driver for their direction over the next 12 months or so. Probably the things you're reading about in the papers. So I think everyone recognises that interest rates will be going up, but will they be going up in 2022 or will it be in 2024? Inflation has started to bump up, particularly overseas, but even in Australia. But again, people are speculating, is that a short-term event, or is that going to become a longer term theme? So they're the things that the market sort of wrestling with day to day. We obviously still have the uncertainty of COVID in the background as well. Are we through the worst, or are there going to be some more COVID disruptions to come? So there's certainly a lot of volatility in the market. We probably see that meaning that returns for 2022 are going to be at the moderate level after the fantastic returns of last year. But we believe we're fairly well placed to deal with the markets as they are. I know some people do like to see the returns on a regular basis. Certainly you can log into your accounts, but also just go to our website. The investment performance is on there and it is updated every day.
Thanks, Chris. Perhaps we'll come back to some more investment questions a bit later. I've got a question now from a member on insurance, and I might answer that. The first part of the question was, can I get insurance cover for my wife? And the short answer to that is yes, you can. The fund is open to all Australian residents, so a wife or a partner can join and receive the insurance cover as part of the membership of the fund. So the answer to that very easily is yes. But perhaps a more important question is, am I covered when I'm not at work or on holidays? So all the insurances of the fund are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your death and TPD insurance covers you for anywhere in Australia or overseas. So if you're on a holiday either here or overseas, you are covered. The income protection program that we put into place a couple of years ago has also been very well received, and it works whilst we're receiving contributions from your employers. If for whatever reason you stop working and contributions are no longer received by the fund, your income protection cover will cease. If you go back to work in a reasonable time, that income protection cover will recommence. But again, if you want more details on how the insurances work at any different level, be it death, TPD, IP, please contact us at the fund on our 1800 number, our website, and we'll be able to walk you through it piece by piece. The next question I've got from a member, I might give to the chairman, Paul Layoff, and it relates to, I've seen a few news articles about super funds merging lately. Are there any plans for NESS to merge with another fund?
Thanks, Paul, and thanks to the member that submitted that question. It's a very good question. The board determines these types of issues around a number of criteria. Our investment performance that Chris has outlined tonight has been very solid. Are we providing low administration fees to members? Are we providing a quality insurance product? And are we providing exceptional service to our members? On each of those criteria and what you've heard tonight, the answer across those 4 criteria is yes. If the board felt at any time that we were being deficient in any one of those criteria, we would seriously think about whether or not we did need to merge with another fund. At this point in time, our determination is that while we keep it on the radar, our view is that we will continue to provide exceptional service across those 4 criteria, and therefore we have no plans to merge with another fund. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. My next question I've got relates to the COVID situation from last year, and the member has asked me, I was able to withdraw $10,000 from my super last year to help pay bills. Is that available all the time now? The short answer to that is no. It was an early release mechanism introduced by the federal government when COVID kicked in the middle of last year, and it lasted for just over 9 months, I think it was. As you heard earlier, we paid out quite a large amount of money to members over that time to assist them during the difficulties that many people encountered. So there is no COVID early release payments in place at the moment. That's not to say the government will not think about that in years to come, but as we sit here tonight, that has ceased to be an arrangement. For members who are in financial hardship, again, we'd encourage them to contact the fund to see what other arrangements the fund can assist them with. Back to investments now, Chris. You mentioned there were 7 investment options. Are there any plans to offer other options such as ethical investments, crypto, or even gold?
Probably I'd open by saying that the board reviews the investment options on a regular basis. We have a strategy day every year, and what the investment options are and maybe should be is a discussion point at that every year. And for example, that's one of the reasons that we decided to align the accumulation and pension options in the current year, because we saw the need to do that. In terms of ethical investing, we do have an ethical investing policy. It's mainly focused around ensuring that environmental, social and governance factors are considered when we select investments, and making sure that the potential implications of those factors on the investment performance are considered. We haven't had demand from members for a dedicated ethical investment option, so at this stage it's not something that we look to introduce. If that was to change, that would be something that we would consider. In terms of cryptocurrencies or gold, which is obviously fairly topical at the moment, from a NESS perspective, we like our investments to have a regular income stream. That might be dividends in the case of companies, it might be interest payments in the case of bonds and fixed income and term deposits and the like. Because investing directly into gold or investing in a cryptocurrency doesn't generate any income like that, it's not something that we consider to be an investment that we would place our members' money into. That said, there are other ways to benefit from those areas. And the example I would give would be if there was a feeling that the gold price was going to be quite buoyant, we might invest in gold mining companies, mining services companies who will generate income from servicing the wider industry around the gold market. And if gold does well, those companies will be busy and we should have a profitable investment. But if the gold price doesn't go up, maybe it even falls, those gold mines, those mining services companies will still exist. They will still be providing services, and we should see an income from those businesses, even though the gold price haven't done what some might have speculated that it would do. So, yeah, I think.
Thanks, Chris. The other thing I would add at this point is that our minds are always open to new ideas in regards to options for members. And we look at that on a very frequent basis so that we're always making sure that what members want, we're trying to offer. So that's something that the board addresses quite regularly. The next question I have in here relates to transferred balances, and I'll read the question. I recently transferred most of my super balance to NESS, but I left my other super fund open because of the insurance cover I had at the other super fund. Can I transfer my insurance cover to NESS as well, even if it is more than the default cover? Well, the short answer to that is yes. If you're a member of NESS, you can apply for additional cover of up to a maximum of $5 million for life cover and $3 million for TPD cover. Again, I'd encourage members to look at what we offer because the cost that we offer for that type of cover is highly competitive. As I said, or as Paul Layup alluded to earlier, we now have a financial planner on staff. He will be able to assist you with the types of advice you need around those insurance arrangements, and we encourage members to ring and talk to Hernan, the financial planner, whenever you get the opportunity. Again, our contact centre and the 1-800 number are there to make sure that your ease in dealing with the fund is very real. My next question, back to you, Paul Layup. Are there any plans to offer other products or services in the future?
Thanks, Paul. Over the past 12 months, as you've just indicated, we've added a financial planner. You also indicated in your comments earlier on, Paul, that we're looking to insource the handling of insurance claims, which we believe will add a higher level of service to our members. At the same time, it can be quite dangerous to stray too far from what you really should be doing. And as I indicated earlier, that's all about getting a high investment return, low admin fees, quality insurance product, and exceptional service for our members. So I don't think you're going to find this fund branching off into a whole range of wild ideas. We're going to stick to the knitting, and we're going to do that exceptionally well, and we're going to provide the best quality return and service to our members.
Thanks, Paul. The last question I have on for tonight that I've received was about a person getting ready for retirement. And the question was, I'm getting ready for retirement and wanted to know if I can stay in the fund after my employer and I stop contributing to it. The short answer to that again is yes. You can stay in the fund, be it in the accumulation phase for as long as you like, and the pension phase is ready for all members when they're getting to that age where they want to receive an income stream in retirement. Again, we've done a big job in reorganising all of our investments, so the move from accumulation into pension for retirement has been made a lot easier. And where it becomes even easier for the member is we have a financial planner on staff who will be able to assist members in going on that journey. There's a lot involved in getting ready for retirement, and what we have done at fund level is make sure we're going to be able to help the member through that process, from coming out of work and going into retirement, all the bits that go with it in the form of the advice you need, Centrelink, and all the moving parts. But again, short answer is you can stay with the fund for as long as you like. If you change jobs, you can stay with the fund as long as you like. If you do no work for a while and then restart up again, your membership continues on. So the answer is NESS should be there for you for the rest of your days. That brings me to the end of our questions that I have received through. And I'd like to thank all those that have been on the meeting tonight. If you have further questions or is there other things we can help you with, on the screen you can see there's a 1-800 number, there's an email address, and there's a website as well, the website address for nesssuper.com.au. And with that, I'd just like to thank everyone, and I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a particularly safe and happy New Year, and look forward to 2022, considering what we've had to deal with in 2021. Thank you all, and good night.